So in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are studying how Hiranyakashipu was so much desirous to kill his own son. Now, his killing of his own son was not a great feat, because if we read on in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the exploits of Hiranyakashipu, that he destroyed many, many great armies and he conquered the 3 worlds. So to kill a 5-year-old boy is not a great feat. But here he is so much desirous to kill his own son just to prove on one point that he is greater than God. Because Prahlad, from the very beginning of his birth, he had tremendous faith in the Lord. And he was always worshipping the Lord from the very beginning. Now, we know that Prahlad, when he was still in the womb of his mother, he was under the care of Narada Muni. And from that very beginning, he had a wonderful atmosphere to remember Krishna, because at all time there was either Kirtan or Srimad Bhagavatam being recited in the ashram of Narada Muni, where his mother was kept for safety until the birth. So from the very beginning, he was influenced by the transcendental sound. So when he emerged in this world, he was completely purified and he was completely absorbed in the holy name of the Lord. Now this we can see that is the effect of proper environment, proper condition that will make you a perfect person. And the purification will take place, whether you are in the womb of the mother or you are outside. If you are surrounded by the transcendental atmosphere of Krishna consciousness, then that will influence you, through which the purification will take place of the heart. And when the purification of the heart takes place, then obviously you will connect yourself with the Supreme Lord. As Prabhupada mentions, that this Krishna consciousness is not something which is artificial. It is naturally there. It is the constitutional position of the living entity to be connected with the Supreme Lord. We heard many times the statement, Jivere Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. Eternally we are servant of Krishna. So, due to our association with the material world and material energy, that contamination comes and covers us. And due to the covering, we cannot experience our real self, the real connection with the Supreme. So the purification takes place. So here, when purification took place of Prahlad, he was a devotee from the very beginning. Now you can see that Prahlad, he was born in a demoniac family, Asuras. So the whole lineage, naturally, it is coming down from that connection, is all demons. They are not great devotees. But occasionally you find that by the mercy of the Lord, He shows some special mercy, and through this, the living entity becomes purified. Even though born in a demoniac family, he is a devotee of the Lord. So Hiranyakashipu was so much afraid that if his son's powers are exhibited as a pure devotee of the Lord, then his own powers will be diminished, and people will be more worshipping Prahlad and the Supreme Lord rather than him, because he wanted to become a god. And through his austerities, he acquired the power that he could not be killed under any circumstances. So when he was given this empowerment, he thought that now nobody can kill me, so I am the Supreme, and everybody must worship me. And here we see that he is so much desirous to kill his son just to prove the point that God is much lesser of a power than himself. But in the previous chapters we see that Hiranyakashipu, through his different agents, tried to make many, many different arrangements to kill his son. And every time he failed. And the reason he failed was that the Supreme Lord had manifested his divine powers to protect him. When he was thrown off from a big cliff, the Lord was down there waiting, and he just caught him in his hands. There was no fear of death there. Now, ordinarily we see if you sleep even from like a staircase, you're going to have some serious injuries. But here, Prahlad was thrown over a cliff, and there was no scratch on his body. The Lord protected him. On the other hand, he was put in a pit full of snakes, poisonous snakes. Still, he wasn't killed. He was put in boiling oil, nothing happened. To the point where he was so much concerned that I must kill this child, that he took his sister's help to kill him. Now, his sister, because she had some austerities, she was blessed that as long as she does good and pure thoughts in her mind, fire will not burn her. So, ordinarily, you see fire has such a power that it can burn everything. Even metal, which under normal circumstances, you cannot burn metal. But when this metal is put in fire, the fire is so hot that it will make the metal even molten and it will burn metal. So fire is so powerful. What to speak of a person? So Hiranyakashipu took help of his sister to kill Prahlad. So they made this arrangement. They're saying, we're going to do a special sacrifice. And in this sacrifice, you have to enter the fire with your auntie. So Prahlad, young boy, says, okay, no problem. He had no fear. Now, Hiranyakashipu's sister was thinking that since I have the boon that I won't be burnt by fire, so when I enter in the fire with the child Prahlad will be burnt and I'll come out without any scratch on my body. But she forgot that the boon will only work if she's honest and truthful and for righteous things. If she does something crooked and something sinful, then the fire will burn her. So when sometimes the boons are given to these so-called demons, they don't understand that this boon can only work under certain circumstances, because Krishna is not going to give you a complete free run. But sometimes when these kind of boons are given, you begin to think you're so powerful. But Krishna is the most powerful. He has the ability to steal your intelligence. So unfortunately at that point, Hiranyakashipu's sister, Holika, her intelligence was stolen. And she forgot that if she went in there with the desires to kill Prahlad, which is a sinful activity, and not just killing a boy, but killing a devotee of the Lord, is even far greater sin than one can imagine. So when they entered the fire, Prahlad came out without a scratch on his body, and Holika was burnt to ashes. So when one would hear all these wonderful, great pastimes of Prahlad, the young boy who was protected at every instances, then the glories would spread around the world, around the universe. Think, who is this, or what is this power, what is this energy which is protecting Prahlad from all kinds of dangers? And then Prahlad was very openly, profusely saying to everyone, it is the Lord who protects us all. All we have to do is simply take his shelter. And by taking his shelter, the Lord will completely protect us from all dangers. So when everybody hears about this, then naturally they're going to say, here is Hiranyakashipu, a great demoniac person. He doesn't give you protection, but he gives you fear. And out of fear, we think he will protect us. But really, he cannot protect us from anything. Whereas here is Prahlad, a young boy. He is fearless simply because he has complete faith in the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is completely protecting him from all dangers. So naturally, when everybody hears about these glories of Prahlad and all the wonderful different activities of the Lord which took place to protect him, then naturally people are going to say, yes, I want to worship that Lord who will give me protection. If he can give protection to Prahlad, then why not me? So naturally, Hiranyakashipu was fearful that even though he had so much power and he was considering himself immortal and he conquered the 3 worlds, still he was fearful of this young boy. So he wanted to kill him. Just to prove a point that I am more powerful than God. His God is just some figment because nobody has seen him. The only people who really are privy to see the Lord or understand the Lord is his devotees. And even his devotees, those who are really, really fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, then the Lord will reveal himself to these devotees. For example, we are here practicing Krishna consciousness, making sincere endeavorment to worship the Supreme Lord and try to see the Supreme Lord. So we see Him every day in the beautiful manifestation of the Lord in the deities of Radha Gokulananda, Sri Gonita, Sri Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. We see them every day. So on the one hand, we can understand that the Lord is so kind that He is revealing Himself to us. Even though we are not purified in our consciousness, in our senses, still He is allowing us to see Him. But when we see the Lord, do we get that feeling that here is the Lord? I have been the most fortunate person that He is revealing Himself to me and I am having audience of Him. And we are seeing the Supreme Lord face to face. And after seeing the Lord face to face, what is the effect on us? Intellectually, we may think, yes, here is the Lord. Scripture says these are the form of the Lord. Saintly people have said that this is the form of the Lord. These are the rituals which we have to perform. So we come and perform the rituals in the temple room. We sing and chant in front of the deities. We bow down to the deities. We show some respect to the deities. But after that, do we have that complete faith in the Supreme Lord that He is going to protect me and provide for all my needs? We don't have that because we obviously go and make different arrangements. And we make so many arrangements thinking that if I don't make these arrangements, then I will be without, say, sadham or my clothing or my shelter or even protection. We make so many arrangements for our own protection. We don't see Prahlad going around making so many arrangements for his own protection. He simply has complete faith that come what may, if Krishna wants to protect me, nobody can touch me. And if Krishna so desires, then there's nothing in this world who can protect me. So he was completely free from all this. And only thing he had was complete implicit faith. Now we are also privy to the same knowledge which Prahlad was. But in our own actions, we have less faith. So how this faith develops is to understand from Prahlad's own devotional practices and how much he was adhering to the Supreme Lord and his words and practicing Krishna consciousness so that he had no fear. Now in our own situation, as I explained, that when we see the Lord face to face, we still have some fear that something will happen which will be beyond my control, so I have to make some arrangements to protect myself. Or I have to make so many arrangements so that all my needs are provided for. In one purport of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says that one who has complete faith in Krishna and is completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, all his material circumstances and needs are automatically taken care of. And this is the word Prabhupada used, automatically taken care of. He doesn't have to make any separate endeavor. But because we don't have that kind of faith, so what do? We have to make separate endeavors, just in case that, if the Lord doesn't provide. But the Lord is providing every day. But because we don't see that in that light, that this is the mercy of the Lord and the Supreme Lord has actually made wonderful arrangements and provided for all my basic needs, then we don't have that much faith. We actually think that all provisions are done through our own means. So we don't have that kind of faith. But really, if we really are fully surrendered to the Lord, then we should be simply thinking, I have come to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord promises that whatever your needs are there, I will take care of you. I will give you full protection in every need. So we have to develop that. And we have to learn that from Prahlad here. So Prahlad is actually showing us, as a young boy, he's not even a fully grown, matured person. In this pastime where Hiranyakashipu was trying to kill him, he's just still a 5-year-old boy. So when we have that kind of consciousness, then we can actually develop our Krishna conscious journey and purification of the heart to connect with the Supreme Lord. And another thing which we need to learn from Prahlad is that when we are executing our devotional service, it should be done in the mood of helplessness and innocence. And sometimes, due to circumstances, we are forced to be helpless. But we are not innocent. We are thinking, I am an intelligent person. I have strength. I have means. I can do everything I want with my own ability. But here, Prabhupada is quoting this very nice verse from Bhagavad Gita, where he is saying that I am the ability in man. So whatever ability we may possess, it is also by the grace of the Lord. It is not by our own strength. Even if we have a very powerful person, any moment we can lose that. We can lose complete ability. I've mentioned this before, maybe I can mention this again, because I personally experienced it. So I can speak on the platform of personal experience and realization of how the Lord's mercy is there and His ability in us is without Him, we are just zero. We cannot function. And this is actually experience when I was up in the Himalayas, and when I experienced a mild heart attack. And during those few seconds when that attack happened, I just collapsed like jelly on the floor. I had no power, no strength, nothing. And I was thinking, wow. I've been walking every day for 5-10 kilometers for 6 months. I'm a very fit person. All my muscles are quite toned up. And I have, I'm not exactly walking with a Zimmer frame. I'm quite healthy and, able person. But that moment, just a second, Krishna withdrew the ability, and what happened? Boom, out. So no matter how powerful we may be, the ability in us is only by the mercy of the Lord. Without His mercy upon us, this ability is lost. And when this ability is removed from us, then we are zero. No matter how much facilities we may have, how much power we may have within us, it is of no use. So here, Hiranyakashipu is also thinking like that I am such a powerful person. I have this boon where I cannot be killed by anybody or anything or any time. He was thinking so much, through his intellectual understanding, that now I have covered every angle, nothing can happen to me. So sometimes in our own lives, we also think like that I have covered every angle, so I'm okay, I'm quite safe and secure in my position. And I'll be happily moving forward in my life, and I won't face any difficulties. But all of a sudden, from out of the blue, boom, we face some great difficulties. And when these difficulties come, no matter what arrangements we have made, we cannot protect ourselves. We can try and do many things, try to protect ourselves with all modern technology and facilities, but nothing can protect us if the Lord wants to destroy us. So I can give you one example of recent activity which happened in Japan. In Japan, from the time of Second World War, when it was almost destroyed, it built up its powerful economy. And because Japan was so-called located in the Ring of Fire, which is very much a place where earthquakes are common. Earthquakes are quite common. So they were thinking, we will use our intelligence and our ability and our engineering skills to build houses which will withstand earthquakes. So we have a first-class facility. Even the earthquake comes, it will come and shake and wobble a few things here and there, and we'll still be safe. And most of the houses in Japan are actually earthquake-proof. And they're thinking we are quite safe and secure now. And what happened? One earthquake came and shook the whole place down. And on top of that, the tsunami came and just wiped out everything. And the whole city is gone. In a matter of minutes. Now all this intelligence and all this technology which they had at their disposal, thinking, we will build houses which will be earthquake-proof, so we'll be fully protected. But what happened? Boom. So no matter what we can do, it is not going to protect us. The only thing which is going to protect us is the Lord's mercy. And when we take the shelter of the Lord, at that point, we'll be fully under this lotus feet of the Lord. And when we are fully situated in the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no fear at all. We can be happily situated, because whatever happens, even if we go through a great disaster, earthquake or a tsunami or whatever, and we die, still there's no problem, because we are giving up our material body, but the soul, which is fixed in the lotus feet of the Lord, will be freed from this bondage, and he will go to the spiritual world where he will be happily situated without any fear. Now we know this through our scriptural understanding, intellectual understanding, that if I adhere to Krishna consciousness, when I die, I'm going back home, back to Godhead. So I have no problem. We all know this, so we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are worshipping the Lord every day, we are performing Krishna conscious activities. But if someone came to you and says, okay, I give you a choice, die today. Are we ready to die? Are we ready to say, okay, Lord, no problem, I'm ready to give up my life this very second? We will be fearful, because in the back of the mind we are thinking, maybe just in case I won't make it to the spiritual world. We don't have faith in the Lord. The Lord very clearly says that if you make sincere endeavorment to practice Krishna consciousness, even though you may not make it perfectly, but since your sincerity and your determination is there 100%, then I'll carry what you lack and preserve what you have. Krishna is saying that very clearly. But even in that statement, we have little doubt. So we do not have full faith in the Lord. So similarly, Hiranyakashipu here, although he had the boon that nobody could kill him in the morning, in the evening, outside, inside, by the man, by animal, by so many different conditions, and he knew that nothing could kill him, and he was so but still there was some fear that if this Prahlad succeeds in his path of devotion, then even though I won't be physically killed, but I'll lose my powers. And for a man who is a very powerful person, who has tremendous power, and all of a sudden he loses everything, for him it is worse than death, because he cannot handle it. It will be so much difficult for him to even to even conceive a life without power. He will be completely gone. And we have seen actually many powerful people who get very powerful positions, and once that powerful position has been removed from them, they become very helpless. I don't know if you guys saw that in Iraq, when the Allied forces went in there and took over Iraq, and Saddam Hussein was considered quite powerful at least in his domain. He was most fearful person in his domain. And once the Allied forces went in there and all his system was dismantled and his power was taken away from him, what happened to him? He went and hid in a little hole in the ground out of fear. And he was completely, if he had seen him when they took him out of that hole, you could see on his face, he was so much fear in him. A powerful guy. But at this point, when his power is gone, he's fearful even of the wind blowing around him. So you can see that Krishna can take it all away. So here Hiranyakashipu was thinking that if I continue and allow Prahlad to just have a free hand and just not worry about it, just a little boy, what can he do? But just see, a little boy, so much power he had. He was more powerful than even his father, because his father was fearless of everything but Prahlad's faith in the Supreme Lord. And that is why he was saying, where is your God? Who is going to protect you now? Now I'm going to just cut your head off with my own hands. I'm going to not rely on any of my agents, but I'm going to do it with my own hands. And then when Hiranyakashipu was ready to kill his son, what happened? The transcendental sound came to the pillar. And here it is actually mentioned that when the sound came from the cracking of the pillar, they could not figure out where the sound was coming from. Now obviously, if you are sitting here and if some noise happens in that corner, then we know that there's some noise coming from that side and obviously it's not coming from this side. But here it is mentioned that the sound was so powerful that they could not figure out where it was coming from. And this sound was so powerful that it penetrated through the whole universe. Now can you imagine the cracking of a little pillar? And the sound which came out of that, it went through all the layers of the universe. And everyone is hearing this. How much powerful that sound can be, can you imagine? Even the most powerful sound in the material world we can say is maybe it will just go maybe 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers. And beyond that, you cannot hear it. But here this sound is so powerful. Then Prabhupada is explaining that the very sound itself is so powerful that this sound is actually from the Lord. And then the sound itself is showing the presence of the Lord everywhere. The omnipresence of the Lord. So it is not that Lord is restricted to some place or some body. He is within and is without. So it's very, very difficult to comprehend this concept of God being everywhere and at the same time God is a person. That is why it is very easy to appreciate and embrace the Mayavadi philosophy that God doesn't have a form. Only the devotees of the Lord are privy to this secret knowledge that the Lord has his transcendental form. So we can understand from this point here how powerful the Lord is, and when he comes to protect his devotees, he can come from any place, anywhere, in any form. But that faith must be there that Krishna is always going to protect us at every point. And this is where, when we are engaged in Krishna conscious practices, we should have full faith in the Supreme Lord and his words, that whatever he's saying will be always perfect and true. There's no room for doubt. And when we practice Krishna consciousness with firm faith and conviction, then purification will take place. And when this purification takes place, then the Lord will reveal himself to us. Although we are privy every day to see the Supreme Lord, but we are not connecting with the Lord. We are just on the surface. We cannot get into the actual connection with the Supreme Lord one-to-one. Because if that happened, then we would be completely freed from all material desires. Because when you connect with the Supreme Lord, then there is no desires left. And this we see in the past times of Dhruva Maharaj. When Dhruva Maharaj was given audience of the Lord, although prior to seeing the Lord, he had many material desires in his heart. He had a desire that he wanted a kingdom greater than his grandfather. He wanted everything. But as soon as he saw the Lord and the Lord revealed to him, then what happened? All his desires were vanquished in his heart. And when the Lord himself asked Dhruva Maharaj, that, what do you want? And he said, now that Lord, I've seen you face to face, there's nothing I want in this world. Because you are everything. So we are also privy to the same darshan of the Lord. It's not that Dhruva Maharaj had a different darshan of the Lord than what we are having by the mercy of Radha Gokulananda. He has manifested himself. We see him every day, but that connection is not been made still. No doubt that connection will come through our practice of Krishna consciousness with determination and sincerity. And these two things are lacking actually, sincerity and determination. And sometimes sincerity may be there, but determination is not fully there. Although we may externally feel that determination is there. But determination means that your goal is fixed. You don't want anything but the Lord. So our determination sometimes may be there to see the Lord face to face. We may make external arrangements to see the Lord. We may do external activities to glorify the Lord and see these things. But we don't have that determination. And why I'm saying that is that, at least I cannot speak for others, but I'm speaking for my own self, is that I come and see the Lord here, and after I've seen the Lord, I've taken darshan, and then I walk away, and I'm out there, and the Lord is out of my mind. I can't remember him. Sometimes I make a point that today when I'm going to take darshan, I'm going to make sure I'm going to see the Lord's dress. I'm going to see what dress he's worn today, what jewelry he's wearing, whether he's wearing a crown, whether he's wearing a turban. And I'm actually meditating on each and every item of the Lord's decorations and his beauty. And then to test my own self in the evening, I say, well, I took darshan this morning and was he wearing a crown or was he wearing a turban? Was it this color or was it that color? I cannot recall. So you can see that even though I made some determination to remember the Lord, and the Lord was very kind to give me his audience, still my memory is failing me because I can't remember him. But on the other hand, if I'm going down the road, driving my car, and there's a car next to me, and he's got his window rolled down, and he's got his radio on, and there's a song from the 70s. Wow, I remember all the words. I haven't heard the song for yonks. In fact, I haven't heard the radio since I joined the movement. I've never heard the 70s songs. But as soon as I'm driving there and I see the guy next door in his car, I can remember the 70s song, and I can remember the damn words. I can't remember the Lord. So then there must be something wrong here, because something material, something mundane, I have so much attachment for that. I even haven't heard the damn thing for such a long period. I can remember it. And the Lord, I cannot remember him. So then there must be something wrong. But still, we cannot give up on our determination of Krishna consciousness. The Lord is so kind that he will somehow or other make sure that when the time comes for us to depart from this world, in whatever circumstances we may be, he will actually come and remind us of himself. He will force us to remember him. And I have this full faith, because one time I heard that when John Lennon, who did tremendous service to Srila Prabhupada when he came to England in the early days, and the Lord doesn't forget that. When you serve his pure devotee, he keeps us in mind. So when he was shot in New York, at the time he was leaving his body, there was a Harinam party coming around the corner, chanting the holy names of the Lord. So even though he may not be thinking of Krishna at that time, but Krishna arranged for the Harinam party to come around the corner, and the area was completely absorbed with the holy names of the Lord. And he left his body hearing Krishna's sound vibration. So Krishna's sound can be heard. Now here in this example is given that the sound of Krishna appearing from the pillar, it was so loud that it traveled through the whole universe. So when you say Hare Krishna, it's not a mundane sound. We may use a microphone, or it may be just maybe a few meters far when I say Hare Krishna. You cannot hear me beyond that. But physical hearing is not required, because the sound vibration is not heard through these ears. It is heard by the soul. The soul doesn't need this material mundane ear to hear the sound, transcendental sound. So like that, Krishna makes many arrangements. We have seen that many devotees who have dedicated themselves to serving Krishna and taking up Krishna consciousness, and when an unfortunate situation comes that they have to leave their body, even though they are unconscious because of their illness, but they're surrounded by devotees who are chanting, and there's a CD player, Prabhupada chanting. So all this sound vibration of Krishna consciousness and environment, atmosphere is there, the holy names will be chanted. And in this atmosphere, if you leave your body, then you go back to spiritual world, because Krishna is there, he's made arrangement for you to hear. So no doubt, Krishna will make arrangements for us to hear his holy names and remember him at that point. But our determination and our sincerity must be there in order to focus in our practice of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says, act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you, not that you want to see Krishna. So our activities are such that we just say, whatever I do, I want to do for the pleasure of the Lord and nothing else. Then Krishna will definitely see us, although he may not physically reciprocate with you at the time. But He is noticing every single act we are doing. Whatever we are doing here or wherever we are. It's not necessarily that, if I am in the temple room, if I do something, Krishna is watching me, so I must be careful. I should not do something here in front of Krishna. I'll go into the room next door and Krishna is not watching me. But Krishna is watching you. He's in your heart. He's everywhere. He is not like you and me, restricted with 2 eyes and a pair of glasses that I need to see. He can see you. He can hear you. He can smell you. He can know every act you are doing. So there is no hiding from Krishna. But Krishna is observing, so we should be very mindful that whatever we do, we should be doing in such a way that how I can please Krishna and how I can protect myself from all these non-Krishna conscious activities and sincerely have determination to just carry on in my journey and be successful. So it's 8:30. I will stop here. Thank you very much. Anybody has any comments, any questions?